Welcome to Storytime with Nanny. We're going to start with, we're actually going to read two books in order. Sometimes I end up finding what would have gone better to read first after I've already read another book. But this is The Lion King, Friends in Need. God bless you. It's adapted by Justin Corman, illustrated by John Kurtz. Once upon a time, when the Pride Lands were new and the great Lion King Mufasa was still growing, he came upon a little bird in big trouble. The bird was a hornbill named Zazu, and he was about to be cooked by some hungry young hyenas. Does not sound pleasant, does it? Mufasa gave a mighty roar. Well, it wasn't a very mighty roar because he was still a small lion, but it was mighty enough to frighten off the young hyenas. The little bird introduced himself with a grand bow. Then he said, "Thank you for saving my life, Mufasa. I hope that one day I may be of service to the future Lion King." Proud Mufasa laughed to himself. How could such a little bird be of any use to a lion? But the little bird was determined to help somehow, so he hovered over Mufasa day and night. Wherever Mufasa went, Zazu followed. Mufasa began to feel as if he had grown a second shadow. "Go away," the young lion roared, as Zazu shook his feathered head. "You helped me," he said, "now I must help you." "But you are ruining my hunt," Mufasa groaned. "I can help you hunt," Zazu offered. "I will fly up and tell you where the game is." But the sound of the little bird's wings warned the antelope away. Zazu even hovered above Mufasa when he wanted to be alone with his future bride, Sarabi. While the two young lions strolled, the hornbill chattered. "I know everything that happens in the Pride Lands," he bragged. "I see it all from my bird's eye view. Why, over there, your brother Scar is teasing a mouse." "Can't you keep quiet for 1 minute?" Mufasa asked. "Of course," Zazu exclaimed. "Once I didn't say a word for nearly 3 days. It's a funny story, really. You see," and on the chatter went, until one day Zazu saw several vultures circling a distant gorge. He pointed out the birds to Mufasa and said, "Shall I fly over to see what's happening, sire?" Mufasa yawned. "What does a future king care about ugly old vultures?" he asked. "There's probably just some small creature over there." Then he settled down for a cat nap. Zazu was too curious to sleep, so he flew over to the gorge. As he got closer, the hornbill saw that the vultures were circling a deep pit, and at the bottom stood Sarabi. The lioness looked up at Zazu and cried, "I can't get out." "I will help you," Zazu screeched, and with a flap of his shiny blue wings, he was off. Zazu flew to Mufasa as fast as he could. Mufasa snapped wide awake the minute he heard Zazu's news and raced to the gorge to save his future bride. But once he had scared away the vultures, Mufasa didn't know what to do. If he climbed into the pit, he would be trapped too. "Sire, over here," Zazu called. "You can toss down this tree trunk and then Sarabi can climb up." Mufasa quickly dragged the heavy trunk over to the pit. Then he lowered it down for Sarabi. In seconds, Sarabi climbed to freedom. She rubbed her soft cheek against Zazu and purred. "You saved my life, and you taught me a valuable lesson," Mufasa added. The Lion King needs to know everything that goes on in his kingdom, no matter how unimportant it might seem. Mufasa told Zazu, "I knew you'd come around, sire," Zazu began. "Why, it was only a matter of—" "I wasn't finished," Mufasa growled playfully. "I have also learned that no creature is so small that he cannot be useful in his own way. Therefore, when I am king, you shall be my advisor. You will fly over the kingdom, tell me everything you see, and alert me to anything that needs my immediate attention." And that is just what Zazu did for all the years of Mufasa's reign. "What do you see from up there?" Mufasa called to his new friend. Zazu chattered, "I see a bright future for King Mufasa and Queen Sarabi, and for their right paw advisor, Zazu the Hornbill." I like that story. Summer. You gotta calm down some. I can't read and you be like in my face, so. The Lion King, Disney's Lion King, adapted by Justin Corman, illustrated by Don Williams and H.R. Russell. The Lion King was the first movie that my daughter saw, and at the theaters. We've already read the first movie. The book of the first movie my son saw was Snow White. I was taking my youngest sister, to see it, and he decided he wanted to go too. But this is The Lion King. From the smallest ant to the largest elephant, every living thing has a place in the great circle of life. Mufasa's place was king of the lions, Sarabi was the queen, and their newborn cub Simba would one day take his father's place as the Lion King. But on this day, little Simba rested in the hands of the wise baboon Rafiki, who sprinkled the cub with dust and welcomed the future king to the great circle of life. Mufasa's brother Scar did not attend the ceremony. He was not happy that Simba was next in line to rule the Pride Lands, for Scar had always wanted to be king. Time passed and Simba grew. Early one morning, Mufasa took him to the top of Pride Rock. "Simba, look," he said, "everything the light touches is our kingdom." "Wow," the young lion said. Then he asked, "What about the shadowy place?" "That's beyond our borders. You must never go there, Simba," warned Mufasa. Later, Simba found Scar sitting on a rock. Simba proudly told his uncle, "Someday I'm going to rule the whole kingdom." "Well, everything except the shadowy place. My father said I can't go there." "He's absolutely right," Scar slyly agreed. "An elephant graveyard is no place for a young prince. Only the bravest lions go there." As Scar knew Simba would want to prove that he was brave, so he said nothing as Simba hurried off to find his friend Nala and ask her to explore the mysterious Shadowlands with him. When the friends arrived at the Shadowlands, they discovered an eerie place filled with elephant bones and spurts of steam. "It's so creepy," whispered Nala excitedly. "Come on," said Simba. "Let's check it out." Zazu, the king's minister, had been looking for the cubs. When he caught up with them, he warned, "We are too far from the Pride Lands. It is dangerous." But Simba only said, "I'll laugh in the face of danger. Ha ha ha. He he he." The strange laughter belonged to three hideous hyenas, Banzi, Shinza, and Ed, who slinked out from an elephant skull. When Zazu told the hyenas he was Mufasa's minister, they realized that Simba was the future king. "He's a king fit for a meal," Banzi snickered. The hyenas chased Simba and Nala into the cubs were trapped. Suddenly a thunderous roar rattled rocks and bones. It was the roar of Mufasa, the Lion King. The frightened hyenas ran away. That evening Mufasa had a talk with Simba. "I was just trying to be brave like you," protested Simba. Mufasa shook his head. "Being brave doesn't mean you go looking for trouble," he replied. "Dad," Simba asked suddenly, "we'll always be together, right?" Mufasa gazed up at the sparkling heavens. "The great kings of the past looked down on us from those stars," he said. "Whenever you feel alone, remember that those kings will always be there to guide you, and so will I." Although Scar was angry with the hyenas for letting Simba survive, he made a bargain with them. If they helped him make him king, they could have their run of the Pride Lands. So Scar brought Simba to a vast gorge and promised the cub a wonderful surprise if he would just wait on a certain rock. Scar then signaled the hyenas. The surprise turned out to be a stampeding herd of wildebeests, with the hyenas urging the herd on. The earth trembled, dust choked the air. The wildebeest ran into the gorge, heading straight for Simba. He sat safely in a tree, with a branch bent under his weight. But before Simba fell beneath the pounding hooves, Mufasa grabbed him and carried him to a rocky ledge. Then through the thick, swirling dust, Simba saw his father disappear under the thundering herd. When the stampede had passed and the dust settled, Simba found his father lying lifeless at the foot of a cliff. What Simba did not know was that Scar had pushed his brother off the rock to his doom. If it weren't for you, the king would still be alive, lied Scar, appearing at Simba's side. He tried to save me, said the cub, sobbing. It was an accident. Run away, Simba, Scar advised. Run away and never return. Scar watched as Simba ran away. Then he sent his hyenas to kill the cub. But when the hyenas reached a thorny thicket, they stopped. He'll never survive in the desert, they reasoned, and so they returned to Pride Rock and their new king, Scar. Scar told the Pride that there had been a terrible accident, and then he introduced the hyenas. Under the burning desert sun, Simba surely would have died if it had not been for two curious creatures, Timon, the meerkat, and Pumbaa, the fat, friendly warthog. Timon and Pumbaa felt sorry for the helpless cub. They took him to their jungle home and taught him how to live by Timon's philosophy, Hakuna Matata, which means no worries. They also taught the cub to eat all kinds of insects. Simba tried to put the past behind him, but on one clear night the stars reminded him of the old kings and his father Mufasa. Excuse me. Then one day a lioness chased Pumbaa. Simba rushed to protect his friend, but the lioness flipped him on his back the way Nala used to do. Nala, he cried. Simba, the lioness said. I thought you were dead. The friends embraced. Then Nala told Simba the sad story of the Pride Lands. Under cruel King Scar, the land was barren, and the animals were starving. Hyenas were everywhere. But Simba refused to return and take his place as the Lion King. In his heart, he did not feel worthy. That night, wise old Rafiki found Simba alone. Who are you? Simba asked. The question is, who are you? Asked Rafiki. I'm not sure anymore, Simba confessed. You're Mufasa's boy, the baboon declared. He led Simba to a small pool. As Simba stared, he saw his father's face in the water. Then he heard his father's voice. Simba, look inside yourself, Mufasa commanded. You are my son, and the one true king. You must take your place in the circle of life. So Simba set out for the Pride Lands to confront the false king. Later his friends Nala, Timon, and Pumbaa joined him. As Simba approached Pride Rock alone, Scar saw what he thought was a vision. Mufasa? Hadn't he killed the Lion King himself? Was this a ghost? No, it was Simba. I'm surprised to see you alive, sneered Scar. I've come back to take my place as king, declared Simba. Step down, Scar. With an angry snarl, Scar forced Simba to the edge of a cliff. As Simba struggled to hold on, Scar leaned down and whispered, Here's my little secret, Simba. You didn't kill your father, I did. Now Simba knew the truth, and this time he had been innocent. All this time he had been innocent. Simba's heart filled with rage, and the strength of 10 lions surged through him. He struggled up onto the rock, leaped on Scar, and the battle began. Nala bravely led the other lioness against the hyenas. Even Timon and Pumbaa joined the fray. The battle raged until all the hyenas ran from Pride Rock. Simba chased Scar to the top of Pride Rock and cornered him. Scar whimpered, No, please, have pity on me. Run away, Scar, said Simba. Run away and never return. But when Simba turned his back, Scar attacked. Quick as the lightning that flashed above, Simba used Nala's trick flip to send Scar flying over the cliff to the hungry hyenas below. So Scar's evil reign ended, and Simba took his rightful place as the Lion King. In time, King Simba and Queen Nala had a cub of their own. From the smallest ant to the largest elephant, the beasts came from near and far to Pride Rock. There the son of Simba rested in the hands of the wise baboon Rafiki, who sprinkled the cub with dust and welcomed the future king to the great circle of life, which never ends. Yeah, Summer had something to say about that. I hope y'all enjoyed that. That to me was a good book. It was a good movie too. Sometimes you read the book and you see the movie and it's kind of disappointing because the book's usually always better, but to me both were good. This is, which as far as I know, the movie actually did come out. That book was out before I didn't know it. But anyway, this is let's see, let's do this one. Bernstein Bears in the Week at Grandma's by Stan and Jim Bernstein. When Mama and Papa Bears go away, Cub visits their grandparents for their first long stay. Once in a while, the Bear family who lived in the big tree house down a sunny dirt road deep in Bear country got out the family snapshots and looked at them. "What are these?" asked Sister Bear, picking up a book of photos. "I don't think I've ever seen these before." There were pictures of bears playing tennis, canoeing, dancing, and having all sorts of fun. The bears looked like Mama and Papa, only they were younger and thinner. "They're pictures of Papa and me on our honeymoon," said Mama with a smile. "At Grizzly Mountain Lodge," said Papa. "We had a wonderful time." "What's a honeymoon?" asked Brother. "A honeymoon is a special trip couples take when they get married," explained Mama. "Getting married is a very special happening, and celebrating it with a trip is an old custom." "As a matter of fact," said Papa, "we've decided to go on a second honeymoon. We're going back to the same place and play tennis, go canoeing, and have fun. It'll be lovely," said Mama. "A second honeymoon sounds like a pretty good idea to me," said Brother. "Me too," said Sister. They scooted out of the room and were back in a jiffy with their vacation things. "Oh, you won't be coming," said Papa. "Honeymoons, even second honeymoons, are just for grown-ups, not for cubs." But what's going to happen to us?" asked Sister. "It's just so happens," said Mama, "that Gran has been after me to let you spend a week with her and Gramps, and this will be the perfect opportunity." "A whole week?" said Brother. "But we've never stayed with anybody that long," said Sister. "Well," said Papa, taking a few practice swings with his tennis racket, there's got to be a first time for everything." "What will we do for a whole week?" asked the cubs. "Where will we sleep? What will we eat?" "Goodness," said Mama, "such a fuss about a simple thing like spending a week at Grandma's." It didn't seem like a simple thing to the cubs. They loved Gramps and Gran very much, but, well, they just weren't Mama and Papa. Besides, Gramps and Gran were sort of old. What are you taking with you, Sister?" asked Brother when it was time to pack. "I'm taking 2 books, my Jax and my Teddy, of course. These," he said, holding up some books and his best yo-yo. Papa put their suitcases in the car trunk last so that when they got to Gran's, unloading was as easy as 1, 2, 3. Then, after lots of big bear hugs and kisses, the happy second honeymooners were on their way. "It certainly is good to see young folks having fun," said Gran, as she waved goodbye. "We're the young folks," muttered the cubs. "We're the ones who are supposed to have fun." "I'm sure you're hungry after your ride," said Gran when they went in. "How about some of my special honey nut cookies and milk?" "No thanks, Gran," said Sister. "I'm not hungry right now." "Hey, these are really good," said Brother. Sister sneaked a taste. They were good, but, well, they just weren't Mama's. "Now let's get you up to your room so you can get settled," said Gramps. The cubs reached for their bags, but before you could say Grizzly Gramps, they were gathered up, bags and all, and carried up the steep stairs. Gramps certainly was strong for someone so old. The room at the top of the stairs was very nice indeed. But, well, it just wasn't home. "Gramps," said Sister, "where do you suppose Mama and Papa are right now?" "Well," said Gramps, "I reckon they're still on the road, just pulling into sight of Grizzly Mountain Lodge." After they unpacked their things, Gramps thought the cubs might like to explore around the house. While it wasn't home, it was an interesting house. There was the attic crowded with all sorts of interesting things. Gran's kitchen with its yummy taste and smells, and Gramps' den. Gramps knew how to build a ship in a bottle with the When the cubs asked him how it was done, he just smiled. "What do you suppose Mama and Papa are doing now?" they asked him. "I reckon they've gotten into their tennis clothes and they're swatting the ball back and forth," he said. Over the next few days, brother and sister found lots to do. They helped Gran feed her bird friends, more kinds than they had ever seen in one place, and Gran knew all their names. They helped Gramps cut and smooth twigs for a new ship in a bottle. It turned out that he built them outside the bottle and then slid them in. It was pretty tricky. They went fishing in a special place Gramps knew about. "Well," said Gramps as they returned with a fine catch, "I reckon that your Mom and Papa are out canoeing right now." "I certainly hope they're having fun," said Sister, "because we sure are." Better get these chairs in," said Gramps after a fine fish fry. "It's going to rain tomorrow." "How do you know?" asked Brother. "I can feel it in my bones," answered Gramps. It turned out Gramps was right. "Good," said Brother. "We'll be able to relax a little." Sister got out her jacks and he started to play with his yo-yo. "Used to be pretty good with one of those myself," said Gramps. Was he ever? Not only could Gramps make the yo-yo sleep and walk the dog, he could even do baby in the cradle and round the world. That evening, after a refreshing nap, they all went to Gramps and Gran's regular Friday night square dance. Gramps and Gran didn't just watch, they do-si-doed with the best of them. They even won a prize for friskiest couple. "Goodness," said Sister in the morning, "this week really flew by, and we learned so much," added Brother, practicing baby in the cradle. "Gramps and Gran, how come you know so much?" asked Sister. "So many things. Why you can even feel the weather in your bones." "That's one of the good things about being an older person," said Gramps, smiling. "You learn something every day, so that by the time you're old enough to be a grandparent, you know quite a lot." "Gee," said Sister, "I guess you and Gran are so old you must know everything." "Oh no," said Gramps, laughing. "You never stop learning. Why, just this week we learned something very special. We learned how absolutely wonderful it is to be grandparents and have lovely grandcubs." Then Gramps and Gran swept their grandcubs up in a big hug. The next thing they knew, a familiar beep beep was heard. It was Papa, tooting the horn. He and Mama were back from their second honeymoon, and it was time for the cubs to go home. After saying goodbyes and thank yous, the Bear family piled into the car and headed home. No sooner were they on their way than Brother and Sister were bubbling over with the fun and excitement of their week at Grandma's. "Well," said Papa, "sounds like you had a pretty good time." "Oh, we did," said Sister. "Papa, sometimes you might want to go on a third honeymoon. Then we could spend another week at Grandma's." "A third honeymoon?" said Papa. "I don't think anyone's ever gone on a third honeymoon." "Well," said Sister, "there has to be a first time for everything." That actually, is a pretty good idea. I don't know if I've ever heard a third honeymoon. I think we've got time for another book or two. We've got Goofy Minds the House. This just says Walt Disney Production presents Goofy Minds the House, Random House, New York. There once was a farmer named Goofy. He lived in a little house with his wife and Junior, their son. Goofy worked in the wheat fields all day, while his wife stayed home to mind the house. Every night when Goofy came home, he would begin to grumble. "All I do is work, work, work. I never have any fun." Every night his wife would answer, "Do you think housework is fun? I work much harder than you do." One night Junior said, "If you want to know whose work is harder, why not change places?" Goofy and his wife looked at him. "That's a good idea," they said. The very next morning, Goofy's wife went out to work in the fields. Goofy stayed home to mind the house. As soon as his wife was gone, Goofy put on Junior's roller skates. Housework can be fun, he said. Just watch how I do it. Goofy grabbed a broom and began to sweep the floor. He skated from room to room, sweeping the dust ahead of him. When he was done, he piled all the dust into one corner. Junior clapped his hands. "Take a bow, Dad," he said. Goofy took a bow, but his broom caught in the laundry basket. Up went the basket, down came the clothes, right into the pile of dust. "Don't worry, son," said Goofy. "I know just what to do." He carried the dirty clothes out to the line. "Mom always washes the clothes before she hangs them up," said Junior. "That's the hard way," said Goofy. "Watch how I do it." Goofy hung the clothes on the line and poured soap powder all over them. Then he turned on the hose. "I'm washing the clothes and giving you a shower at the same time," said Goofy. "Yes, Dad," said Junior, "but the yard is getting muddy." Suddenly the cow began to moo. She sounded very unhappy. "I forgot to milk the cow," cried Goofy. He grabbed a bucket and ran through the mud. Then he sat down and milked the cow. When Goofy brought the milk into the house, Junior and the cat came with him. "Dad," cried Junior as he pointed at the floor, "we've tracked mud all over the kitchen." Goofy looked at the floor. "Don't worry, son," he said. "I know just what to do." Goofy dipped 2 big sponges into a bucket of soapy water. Then he tied the sponges onto his feet. Squish, splash, squish, splash. Goofy sloshed around the room, mopping up the floor. "Wasn't that easy?" asked Goofy. "The mud is gone, Dad," said Junior. "But what about all the puddles?" Goofy knew just what to do. He took out the fan and set it down on the floor. "Watch this," he said. While Goofy was plugging in the fan, the cat climbed up on the milk pail. "The cat will knock over the pail," cried Junior. "I'll soon stop that," said Goofy. He grabbed the cat and stuck it under the laundry basket. Then Goofy started the fan. "The breeze will dry up those puddles in no time," he said. But the breeze from the fan blew into the fireplace, and the ashes from the fireplace blew right up the chimney. Junior was looking out the window. "Daddy shouted, 'Come here quick.'" Goofy started toward the window, but he did not look where he was going. Plump went his feet. "Bless you!" Plain went the pail. The milk spilled all over the floor. "I know how to get rid of that milk," said Goofy. He lifted the basket and let out the cat. It began to lap up the milk. "Bless you." Then Goofy ran to the window to see what Junior was shouting about. The fan had blown ashes all over the clothes. The water from the hose had flooded the yard, so the poor cow was standing in soap suds up to her neck. "Don't worry, son," said Goofy. "I will take care of the cow." Goofy grabbed a long board. He put it against the house, and he pushed the cow onto the roof. Now she was safe on top of the house. "Your mother will soon be home," said Goofy. "I must go in to cook our dinner." "I'll watch the cow," said Junior. Goofy went into the kitchen and filled the cooking pot with water. He poured a whole box of oatmeal into the pot. Suddenly Junior was shouting. "Dad," cried Junior, "the cow is sliding off the roof." Goofy looked out the window. "Don't worry, son," he said. "We can take care of that." Goofy pulled the cow back onto the roof. He took a long rope and tied one end around her. He dropped the other end of the rope down the chimney. Then Goofy went inside and grabbed the rope that hung down the chimney. He tied it around his waist. "If the cow falls again," thought Goofy, "I'll know about it." All of a sudden the rope yanked Goofy right off his feet. Before he knew what had happened, he was stuck inside the chimney. The cow had fallen off the roof again. Just at that moment, Goofy's wife came home. She was hot and tired and ready for dinner. When she looked at the mess, she could not believe her eyes. Then she saw the cow. She ran to the house, cut the rope. The cow landed safely on the ground. Goofy slid down the chimney and splashed into the cooking pot. Goofy's wife ran into the house. There was Goofy up to his ears in cold oatmeal. That night, Goofy decided that minding the house was hard work. His wife decided that working in the fields was hard work too. And as for Junior, he was happy. He didn't hear one more word about whose work was harder. I think that's all we've got time for today. We got more books ready to read, as you can see. So thank you for turning in and tuning in to Storytime with Nanny. And I hope you have a great, blessed day. and I hope to see you again soon.